everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Disney Morning Show, the show in which Kyle and I bring you what's going on in the world of Disney over the past 24 hours or so. Doobie Mosley here, co-founder at Laughing Place. Over there is our current managing editor, Kyle Burbank. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. I got to hear the theme song today. So
it is a fun
theme song. Didn't away. Although my wife didn't believe me that I timed it well. She's like, you could have just been waving the whole time. I'm like, but I wasn't. I waited for about 2 seconds before, and then I started waving, and it worked out.
So happy Friday, everyone. If you're new to us, this is what we do pretty much every weekday morning. It varies the time, usually 9 o'clock, but for one reason or another, sometimes we vary it a little bit. Kind of lighthearted. We keep it very light and airy here and just kind of catch up what's going on in Disney. We did have some breaking news this morning that we're anxious to get to, but we're going to start the show the way we start every single show, and that is by looking at the Disney stock price. All right, so what we do is we have Kyle guess Disney stock price within some arbitrary number that I give him. Today's arbitrary number is Friday. I'm in a good mood. $1. What is the current Disney stock price within $1?
94.
94. Let's refresh. Make sure we're up to date here. 93.47. Good thing I gave you that cushion.
Well, I took that cushion and I was like, well, fine then. I'm just going to go down the middle of what I would have guessed.
The other thing we do after the stock price is we feel you need to know what the weather is like in your neck of the woods, as long as you live somewhere near Disney.
Yeah.
Hey there, and welcome to a Friday, Gotta Get Down on Friday edition of the Laughing Place Disney Weather Report. Hadji was a punk just like any other boy, and he never had no trouble till he started up his oi band. Safe in the garage or singing in the tub till Hadji went too far and he plugged in at the pub. 'Twas a cold Christmas Eve when Trevor and the Skins popped in for a pint and to nick a bag of crisps. Trevor liked the music but not the unity. He unwound Hadji's turban and he knocked him to his knees. If God came down on Christmas Day, I know exactly what he'd say. He'd say oi to the punks and oi to the Skins. Oi to the world and everybody wins. Let's get to the weather. Anaheim will be warm today, making it up to 79 in the afternoon with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Walt Disney World will also be cloudy today and is already at its high of 72. Tonight will be in the mid to upper 60s. It's another rainy day near Castaway Cay with showers in the forecast all day and all of the night. Disneyland Paris is finally dry, enjoying a night at 44 degrees and partly cloudy skies. Of note, foggy conditions are expected overnight. Tokyo will be cloudy tomorrow and spend the day in the 60s. Shanghai could see a couple of overnight snow showers, but tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with temps in the mid-30s. Lastly, Hong Kong will only make it up to 58 tomorrow with overcast skies. With that, we conclude another week of LP Disney weather reports. I hope you all have a super terrific weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Yeah. So we had some difficulties with Ethan's satellite feed this morning, so he literally had to phone it in.
I thought he was like channeling vinyl or something. Like
I don't know, man. It was just giving me all sorts of issues. I'm like, well, I could play back the audio, but I couldn't download it. And so I just had to put my phone up to the laptop speaker.
No problem. That's hilarious. But what was the song today? I did not know that at all.
So that is a song called Oi to the World by Orange County's own Vandals originally, and famously covered by the Orange County's own No Doubt. So that is a 90s Christmas song. There are only so many 80s ones, and I got one more verse of the waitresses to go. So I had to.
This. You said it was Oi to the World. Is that a Hanukkah? I mean, because today is the last day of Hanukkah, so that's kind of appropriate, isn't it? That was on purpose. Ethan knows this stuff. Okay, let's get to the news.
Yesterday was the last day of Hanukkah, so I could have been better.
Well, last night was the last night of Hanukkah, but Jewish religion, the day is from sunset to sunset. So it began last night, carries through to today.
But isn't the night the important part? So today is just kind of
okay. That's where they light the candle, but it's still today.
Okay.
We opened the
oil's still burning.
We're going to move on to the big news, small news, tiny news, because it's about children this morning on Disney Cruise Lines. But this one has got some passion stirring in the Mosley household this morning.
In the Mosley household and nowhere else.
Not true. Nowhere else in our circle here at LP, but I went and did some searching because I was trying to make sure what the age ranges were. There is passion among parents, which is not something that describes a lot of people here at LP. But
Sure.
parents definitely have passion over this, and us being parents did as well. So anyway, what the news is Disney has updated their age range, specifically one age range for their kids clubs on the Disney Cruise Line. So Disney Cruise Line has 3 layers of kids clubs. They have the Oceaneer Club / Lab, which is for the younger set. They have Edge, which is for the tweens, and Vibe, which is for the teens. And in the past, that younger set was starting at age 3 up through age 12. And then they had a crossover for Edge where you could start going there at 11 and go all the way up to 14. And then Vibe was 14 to 17. So if you were 11 or 12, you could choose Oceaneer Club or Edge. And if you were 14, you could choose Edge or Vibe. And they've kept the crossover for Edge and Vibe. 14 years old still get the choice, but they've gotten rid of it for the Oceaneer Club / Lab. So now that is only up to age 10. And if you are 11 or 12, you now must go to Edge. And what that means is the most obvious change between Edge and the Oceaneer Club is Oceaneer Club / Lab is gated. You can give your kid, thank you for joining all you Twitter people today. I don't know why Twitter is pushing us out today, but we appreciate it. So thank you so much for joining us. We are live, obviously. So if you have any questions or any comments, let us know. Your comments will show up here and we will address them. So what that means most obviously is Club and Lab are gated. You can give your kid permission to check themselves in and out, but otherwise a parent must come or a guardian must come and check them in and out of the club. And otherwise they're captive in the club. They can't just go workmanship on their own. Edge is not that way. Edge is they can go in and out on their own. Most 11, 12-year-olds, that's okay, but not all is that okay as far as parents are concerned. But now they will not have the choice to put them in club or lab. Also, it just, it skews over. It goes all the way up to 14 years of age. Some people with kids 11 years old would rather they're, some kids skew young. Parents know this, I know not everyone's a parent, but parents know this. Our child skewed young. He's always been more comfortable with kids younger than himself than older than himself, and very much appreciated being able to go to Oceaneer's Club and Lab at the age of 11 years old, even 12 years old, and not having to go with the tweens, which was not his scene at that time. His last trip, he was 14. He fit in perfectly at Edge, but at the younger ages, he would have much preferred. So it is a change. And really, it's just taking away an option. They've always had the option to go to Edge. They just no longer have that option. And since it is taking away an option, it's hard to understand why they would want to do that. You can make guesses. I'm guessing it has to do with the parents of the even younger child who are in the club not wanting their child to have to be with people who are 11 and 12 years old. Maybe they're, kids of different ages don't always get along. But for the kids who are those age who no longer have that option, it's sad. And I'm sad. My kid's no longer 14. He's no longer that age. He's now 14. It doesn't affect us anymore. But just picturing ourselves going on a cruise at that age, it would have been sad for us, for him not to be able to go to those younger clubs, to have to go to Edge. And so I have been on the interwebs this morning looking at forums and such, and there are definitely parents out there who've gotten this letter who are not happy about the change. Understandably so. From the parent's perspective, obviously because maybe their kids get younger, but also because they don't want their 11-year-old being able to roam the ship on their own. They're just not comfortable with that yet, which is what is the case when your kids are at Edge. This change takes place on December 21st. Cruises starting December 21st. So just 6 days away. I think the letter just went out yesterday, very, very recently. And the sailing started in a week. So this was an abrupt change. Not a whole lot of time to prepare for this. I don't like that aspect of it either. But that is what I have to say about that. Anything to add, Kyle?
Nope. I've never been on a cruise and I don't have kids. So really.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so the other, this actually popped yesterday, but we didn't really get a chance to talk about it with all the Nelson Peltz stuff. Kyle, do you even watch Bluey?
I saw my first episodes 2 months ago now. We've watched a few more since then, but I haven't had the chance to go through the entire series yet. But I do enjoy it. What I've seen, I really like it.
Yeah, I've only seen one episode, and I enjoy it too. I probably should watch more. perhaps the most popular show on Disney Plus. It is extremely popular with a certain segment, a certain age range. But I know a lot of adults like it too. Well, they have announced that the next drop of Bluey will be occurring on January 12th. They will be releasing 10 new episodes with titles like Cubby and Relax, RELAX, Show and Tell, TV Shop Slide. So if you're a big fan of Bluey, get excited for those.
So that's like an hour's worth of content.
They are short.
They're only 7 minutes each, I think.
So 7 times.
So 70 minutes. So 1 hour and 10 minutes.
And they have reconfirmed, just reiterated, I guess a better word, that later in the year, the previously announced first Bluey special, The Sign, will still be coming next year. So Bluey fans,
that's a 28-minute special.
Is it 28?
Yeah, that's four segments.
Do you think it's 4 distinct segments? I mean, is it 4 segments or is it?
No, they're saying it's as long as 4 normal episodes.
Okay. So that's Bluey for you. I should mention this. I think Alex is a fan of Bluey. We're actually going to have a guest later on in this show. We were going to have 2 guests. We were going to have our Star Wars guy, Mike Celestino, who has a lot of cool stuff to talk about, but he woke up this morning less than 100%. So he is not going to be able to join us. We're hoping to get him next week.
Like the Chargers, am I right?
Oh my goodness. Did you watch that game last night?
I watched part of it. Like once I saw that it was already like 42-0, I'm like, I want to see how this plays out. So I put it on in the background because you could just stream it on Twitch because it was one of the Amazon games. So it was very easy to just throw on and watch the ridiculousness.
Scoregami. Never would have guessed.
Did you see the scoop and score for the Raiders?
I saw it this morning. Oh my!
One of the big guys on the
He's large.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
25, they said. Yeah, and the Charger coach. I don't know if you saw it, but the Charger coach got fired this morning. There was no one running after.
Everyone was. I checked this morning, and he hadn't been fired yet.
Yeah, he scooped that I think at like the 40, and he is as slow as I am, and no one even chased him. The team could not have quit anymore, and so the coach and the GM were both fired this morning.
Makes sense.
And that's why you're tuned in this morning to get the latest on what's going on in the NFL. All right, let's get to the next item, which is Disney Vacation Club. Kyle, are you a member?
No.
Now, I know in your other life, you write financial articles, give financial advice, sort of. Have you written an article on the finances of being a DVC member?
Not on DVC specifically. I've talked a little bit about different timeshares, which I feel like I'm probably a little bit skewed on timeshares because like my in-laws have one with Wyndham and my dad has one with Marriott. So I don't think of timeshares in the same way that like the traditional sense where you actually rent like a week of a year at a specific place. It's all kind of just like those floating points. But yes, I've written a little bit about it, but not a ton.
Well, if you wanted to buy DVC, do it now because the price is about to go up on January 30th. The Riviera and Alani are going up what they call it price per vacation point. When you buy DVC, you're buying points. And the price varies, I believe, depending on where you purchase. And right now, Riviera and Alani are available. They are going up from $217 to $225 per point. And then the villas at the Disneyland Hotel, which is beautiful. Oh my goodness, I love that new location. It's going up from $230 to $239 a point. So presumably, if you buy now before January 30th, you can get it at the lower rate. I don't see why not. So next up, we have a good one for a visual. Do you like the Rose Parade, Kyle?
I've never really.
Oh my goodness. Oh my! You even grew up in Southern California. You were the only Southern.
I didn't grow up in Southern California.
You didn't?
No, I moved to California when I was 22 and left when I was 28.
That's it? I think of you as a SoCal guy.
Arizona. I mean, I wasn't too far from Southern California, but no, I did not grow up in California.
I guess that's just because that's when I knew you, and I just always assumed that's where you were. Well, okay, so
I've been to Pasadena. I lived in Glendale, so.
I'm not a Rose Parade guy. I grew up in SoCal. I've watched it, used to watch it every year because it's what you do on January 1st, but I'm not necessarily a fan. But anyway, ESPN has a float this year. This is it. Imagine this, all made of roses, celebrating the Rose Bowl and the national championship game. It's pretty cool. Can't wait to see the actual thing. We can put this side by side and see if this matches more than World Celebration does.
It's got a
World
similar,
Parade.
like the football design is actually pretty similar to the center garden thing in World Celebration.
January 1st, of course, is the Rose Parade. The theme this year is celebrating a world of music. You can watch it on ABC at 11 a.m. Eastern. And if you live local to Southern California, I think there are no channels that you can't watch it on. It dominates on January 1st. All right. One more thing before we bring on our guest, Alex. Where's that? And that is the very cool news. More Disney Cruise news. My favorite thing about Disney is the Disney Cruises. So we will always talk Disney Cruise here. Disney Treasure, Disney's next ship, coming in 2020. Late 2024, has now been assembled. They call it the final block. Final block has been installed, and if you've seen the making of the Disney Wish special, you kind of know what that means. Ships are made in blocks, almost like a 3D jigsaw,
like the
puzzle
contemporary
kind of thing. Sure. And it's very cool in that special where they show you actually show them kind of assembling the blocks, and then they put the actual block model in the atrium. In the grand hall of the Disney Wish. You can go look at it, and that's what this picture is from, courtesy of Laughing Place.
I don't know if I like something that I'm going to be floating on in the middle of an ocean, referred to as being compared to Jenga, but I'm sure.
But you see what Jenga done really, really well. So the final block has been put in place on the Disney Treasure, which means the ship is done structurally, and now they can focus even more on all the spaces and such. So really, really exciting for a ship that's less than a year away from making its debut. Whew. Cannot wait for the Wish is here. Cannot wait for the Treasure. Sorry.
I can't wait.
All right, let's bring on Alex now. You know him. You love him. Actually, I don't know if you know him. Is there any LPer who spends less time on the air that is like less out there than Alex, especially considering his
All
huge
these days, we used to have like
contribution?
TV and stuff where.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I missed that. Anyway, his name is Alex. Let's bring him on. How you doing, Alex?
I'm good. How are you?
He has unboxing videos and stuff, though.
That's true. That's true. But I don't know. He's a LP treasure, and he needs to be out there even more. He's the Dolly Parton of LP.
Wow.
And I was. Oh wow, that's a big honor. I was made in blocks as well, and recently.
All right, so Alex writes, if you read laughingplace.com, a ton of content for us. I don't know how one person, and most of his content requires him to consume other content. It's not just coming off the top of his head. He has to read a book or watch a show. I don't know how many hours per day Alex has in his life, but there's no way it's the same number I have. There's no way he's doing all this on 24 hours a day. It's just not possible. So, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I am doing okay. We want to bring you on because you've done a few things for Laughing Place lately, and instead of just talking about it here, let's let you talk about it. Why don't we start with a recent Walt Disney Family Museum event you recapped? It was a virtual event. The poster art of Disney Parks. What happened with that?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting event. The Disney Family Museum hadn't done a virtual event in a while, and the first edition of this book came out in 2012. The second edition came out in 2022. So it's not exactly, brand spanking new, but it was interesting to get some insight from the authors. One thing that I found very revealing was that when they did the updated version, which has 85 newer posters in it that weren't available when the first edition came out, they also went back and rescanned all of the originals, which I thought was interesting. Like, they talked a lot about what the Walt Disney Imagineering archives has in terms of these classic posters. They talked a lot about like the screen printing process, which I don't know if you guys are too familiar with that, but I can try and find the spread, which was interesting. That basically, like with a true screen printing, one color is done at a time. Like the same poster kind of goes down the line, receiving different elements. And so one of the kind of treasures that they have is the Disney World monorail poster with the contemporary. They have that with, here it is, all of the different steps in the screen printing process. And this is
cool.
kind of a lost art. Today, if you see this poster in anywhere like on display in a Disney park, it's a digital reprinting recreation. But they went through and had everything rephotographed. They talked about how this one in particular was difficult because it was on a metal backing, so it had light refraction coming off it. They also talked about the golden horseshoe being particularly difficult to do because it had gold embellishments in it when they were scanning the original, rescanning. And then obviously the big thing that was different from the first edition was there's 85 new posters in this one, 40 of which were made for Epcot, which if you were at the 2019 D23 Expo, so they've got this spread of all of them in here, but they also have them all blown up a little bigger. They brought on the two artists who were tasked with designing those. What I found really interesting about that was they weren't Imagineers. They were from Disney Consumer Products. Eric Tan, whose art a lot of us would be familiar with, he does a lot for Disney Consumer Products and Disney Fine Art. And so he was kind of the lead artist on that series, which was interesting. And it was, kind of a push driven to promote the changes to Epcot starting at the D23 Expo. And then they all ended up available at the, what's it called? The where the Teacher of the Year awards used to take place in Epcot, the Odyssey. They all ended up on display for a long time in the Odyssey, which I'm assuming still smells like pickle milkshakes, even though that is done. But yeah, it was an interesting event. I was kind of surprised that they did it. It felt a little bit like news, like talking about a book that's more than a year old. But I guess what was really interesting to learn about was that the authors, even though one of them has left Disney, they message each other anytime a new attraction poster comes out. So for example, the Adventureland Tree House at Disneyland, which I haven't gotten to go see yet. But with that came another new poster. And with the opening of World of Frozen at Hong Kong Disneyland, 3 new posters. So they basically are keeping track of what posters have been released since the last edition, so that if Disney Press comes calling in the future and says, we want a 3rd edition, they're kind of prepped and ready to go, which I found kind of interesting. I don't think a lot of authors get the chance to keep revisiting their same work over and over. What were you going to say, Kyle?
I was going to say, I keep wanting to hit the breaking news button because you keep saying posters. I'm like, well, it's instinct.
Not that kind of post.
Cool. Those virtual events, they're just they don't stream them later, right? You watch them live and then they're in the ether.
That you watch them live. If you're a member of the museum, you then have access to them digitally after a certain point and for a limited time. So if you're a museum member, you can access that event at a certain point. So my recap doesn't encapsulate every single thing they talked about. I just pulled out kind of the key points. But yeah, if you are a member of the Walt Disney Family Museum and you wanted to go back and rewatch that, you can.
Cool. All right. The next thing, thank you very much for that. That's pretty cool. And that book is obviously still a new edition is now available, and a really cool book for poster fans. Comprehensive, right? I mean, is their goal to have every attraction poster that's ever been?
So they said, what I don't know, my first edition is somewhere buried. You've seen my house. So the first edition had, they said, almost every single attraction poster ever made up to that point, plus some concept designs of posters that were kind of either skewed, or you could see the progression of concept to final poster. The new one has 85 additional posters. What they didn't really clarify during the presentation is if they had to remove any to fit those other ones in. So I'm not sure 100% on that. But obviously, if you're an Epcot fan, this one has all the Epcot posters. This one also has a whole section on Shanghai Disneyland, which didn't exist when the first edition came out. So those are kind of the big highlights there. Things like Pixar Pier. Pixar Pier hadn't been done yet. It was still Paradise Pier. So those are brand new for that edition. The first edition, when I was looking to pull in links, is still very much available. So you can get that easily on Amazon. It's not like it was, it's out of print, but it's not like inventories are depleted. So if you wanted both, you can get them both.
You should get them both, just to be safe. All right, the next thing. So we try to read pretty much every review from Laughing Place on our show. We read the headline, we read the final paragraph. So we read your stuff on this show all the time. But we thought today, that's dumb. You're here. Let's just ask you directly. So you had 2 reviews that we normally would have read that now we'll just talk to you about. The first one is from National Geographic Kids. It's a new book, Weird But True Disney, 300 Wonderful Facts to Celebrate the Magic of Disney. And you're holding your copy right there.
Was that
So
provided
shiny.
by whomever?
Yes, it was provided to us by National Geographic Kids, who publishes the Weird But True series of books. It's on the back. They do these books on all kinds of topics. This is the first time they've done a Disney specific one, which is fun.
And what did you think of this one?
I mean, it's cool. I'm older than the intended audience, but it is, very big picture, very big text. I do think there's elements where probably a parent will need to help a little bit, particularly some scientific words. One of my favorite elements of it is animals that are named after Disney characters. Here we go. Here's a Dumbo octopus. I had these were the things. I'm a bit of a Disney know-it-all, but these were things that I didn't know about. So there was some fun facts for me. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. One thing I thought was a little bit interesting was it doesn't necessarily give all the information. I think that's just to not overwhelm. So things like it talks about the first Mickey Mouse short being animated by just one person and how many drawings they had to do for that, but it doesn't name drop iWorks, which I think is also good because if you're buying this for your kids, you're probably somewhat of a Disney fan. Probably know the story of iWorks. So if your kid goes, was that Walt Disney? You can be like, no, it wasn't. It was this other guy who's also responsible for the creation of Mickey Mouse. You can start a discussion, or you as the parent can help, research the information, which is all very much out there. There was another animal, the Pinocchio lizard. That was cool. Sorry.
Surely you're lying.
That, right? Things like that were new for me. Really interesting. This was fun. I was surprised to find a Hocus Pocus fact in here. I was expecting it to be a lot more general, but they do get pretty specific. Things like the guy who is responsible for restoring the stained glass at Notre Dame Cathedral also did the stained glass in Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland Paris.
Oh.
There's a lot of fun.
Fun is a hunchback. I thought that was
No. He's not the bell ringer. He just fixes the stained glass. Different job, very different union, probably. This was fun. I enjoyed this. I would have loved this as a kid, and it reminded me. There was this book that came out in the early 2000s called The Little Big Book of Disney. I don't know if either of you remember that, but I was like 15, 16 when I got that book, and that's what taught me about Club 33. That book had a lot of the here's things you probably don't know. I'd only been to Disneyland once at that point, and so that was I remember being enthralled with that and just feeling like every turn of the page I was finding out something new. I feel like that's this for kids. Probably there's the Big Little Book of Disney. That was a fun one for me. With a foreword by Roy E. Disney. Not every book has that.
Almost, but not quite every book has that.
Not every book has that. Yeah, that was. It reminded me of that a little bit. Obviously, that was a more mature reading level. It was a lot of text, but this one's a lot of fun for kids. Reading level wise, probably 1st through 5th grade. This is good for, depending on how smart your kid is. Doobie. I'm going with the kids that I know in the world who aren't your super genius.
Yeah, I'm thinking more for myself. I'm like, can I handle that reading level? I'll try.
You can.
Right.
You can handle this chunky text.
I like the picture.
Yeah, it's very colorful. It's very fun.
If you want to buy that, it's available everywhere. But if you go read Alex's review and you click our link, we probably get a little bit of a commission there.
Yeah, and it's also It's a really good price. I know its retail value is $8.99. I know Amazon had it closer to $7. It's kind of stocking size, so if you're looking for stocking stuffers for a kid in that reading age range, that's a fun one.
Now let's talk about a book that probably cost a little bit more than $8.95. And when I became a Disney fan in the early '90s, I was a fan of these books. They were hand drawn. Good to see Alex's pajamas.
I just wanted to go grab it.
This is what it is to work for LP. You get to sit around in a cushy chair in your pajamas and get paid. Please send your email.
How'd you know these were pajamas?
Send your resume to I want to work in pajamas too at laughingplace.com. We will consider you for employment. All right. So these books were awesome. They're thick, they're huge, and they just felt so important. And now in the age of computer and books just not being what they once were, this is the kind of thing I would have thought might have fallen by the wayside, but it has not.
It's only ramped up.
The art of books are still here, and Alex has reviewed The Art of Disney Wish. So talk about that, Alex.
Yeah, it's obviously if you've seen Wish, you know that it pulls in lots of elements of Disney history. So kind of the back section, I think, gives you the most amount of here's what was Ivan Earl inspired. It really points out some of the hidden things like shot composition. So as you can see, that shot of Aurora from Sleeping Beauty walking over the bridge versus Asha walking over a bridge. They were inspired by subtle things like layout. But even more than that, there's parts where they point out, here's an Ivan Earl leaf compared to a Mary Blair leaf, and here's how we merge those two types of styles into the flora and fauna of the world of Wish. So it gets very specific with all of the ways. Yeah, exactly. Not Merryweather, just flora and fauna. But yeah, it gets very specific into how they paid homage to the animated films of the past. It does point out a couple of Easter eggs. This one I know we had published in one of my earlier pieces, but for those that don't know, the shape of Star's face, which is a heart shape, is inspired by Mickey Mouse. So here's a progression of all of the expressions that Star can do compared to early Mickey Mouse, when he was still no pupils, just black eyes, no pie shape. So yeah, they get it. It's a really cool book. What was neat was it shows some of the ways the story changed throughout its development. I know that some of the criticism that I've read online is people felt like, they set up things that are not necessarily paid off. And so some of those concepts are things like the Queen being a villain as well. They obviously dropped that. But you can see in some of the design of her character how she was maybe intended to become another Disney character in the same way that Asha and Magnifico have a fate that connects them to other films. And things like in Asha's house, her mother, a plot that's not really overt in the film is that her mother is a weaver. So she has a spinning wheel in the background in the house that is the spinning wheel from Sleeping Beauty. There's things like that, pointing out some of the specific little Easter eggs that are cool.
And I know Wish got a bit of a tepid box office and critical response, but you were a fan, right?
I'm a huge fan. I've seen it 3 times. I understand necessarily a film critic, because other than Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, and Up, WALL-E, there's a handful of these that get critically applauded, but for the most part, your average big Disney classic in the modern era doesn't get a lot of critical love. I don't understand the criticism from Disney fans. I don't know if either of you have seen it. Kyle, Doobie, no?
Wait, yes. I'm sorry.
You've seen Wish?
I loved Wish. I saw it in theaters.
You loved
on
Wish.
The special Walt's birthday, whatever that preview was, Mickey's birthday preview, and absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I love it as well. I don't understand one of the criticisms I keep hearing that I really don't understand is that all of the references pull people out of the story. I don't feel like they're pushed in your face. I don't understand it. Each time I see it, I see something new.
Yeah, they're subtle.
I'm boggled by. I found them to be subtle. Yeah. So
and
some of those
what
things
drives me even crazier is the people that think that they're not just subtle homages, but they're somehow trying to make Disney animated universe, that this actually all takes place in the same universe. Like, you guys are dumb. That's not what this is doing. This is just subtle homages to what's been done in the past. That's
Yeah.
it. Nothing
I mean,
more.
there are. I would say there's like tiny threads at the end of it that you could perceive that way. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, you can watch Wish on its own. It doesn't affect your ability to watch any of the other films or change your enjoyment of them in any way.
Absolutely not. Here is the book again, The Art of Disney Wish.
This is, I took the dust cover off just to keep it nice, but what's cool is the underside is embossed with the Rosas rose. And in the book too, they show how they were inspired by the roses in Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast. I think there was one other Disney rose that they looked at the styling of to kind of come up with a homogenized version that pays tribute to all three.
I am so sad Wish did not get more love. I really thought they did a good job. I thought it was a throwback too. You know, it wasn't trying to be edgy. It wasn't, you know, it was just, it felt like such a traditional Disney movie. And I really,
it's classic. You've got the villain, you know, really the only thing it doesn't have that your typical Disney animated classic does is a love story. And I feel like it would have just been too much to have one in there. It didn't need it. The other thing, people complain about the style of it, and I don't understand that either. I love that they've got the hand-drawn backgrounds in there. Other people say, like, no, it just looks too flat. I love that.
Yeah.
And it talks in here about how they tried to emulate the multiplane camera style. So things like in the musical sequence, You're a Star, or I'm a Star, all of the tree slices are like on one plane, so that, you know, as the camera moves, they each kind of stay together, like when the camera's panning in Bambi, you know, things like that. I thought it was cool.
You really need to buy this book and then watch it again. Okay.
I will say I read the book in between the second and third time that I saw Wish, and it did change my perception of a lot of things and my appreciation for it.
So in support, buy the book, The Art of Books. Very happy these are still out. Did you watch the 2020 Disney 100 special last night, Kyle or Alex?
Oh yeah, passively.
Passively. So
it was on. Really... I was doing other things because I felt like it was. I first of all, I didn't realize it was 2 hours, but as we got into the half-hour part, I was like, we're only up to like 1940. They're gonna need to pick up speed. I did think like some things it like went through too fast, like some elements of like what I consider significant Disney history, and then it all seemed in the end it felt very much like a vanity project. Like, thanks to Bob Iger, we got Star Wars and Marvel, and it was like, okay, we get it.
Wow. So Nelson Peltz isn't featured at all in it?
No, I was impressed that Michael Eisner was in it. that impressed me.
The company.
I know, but like we like to like pretend like things didn't happen, and right?
Okay. Then I mean,
there was no mention of anyone leading the company between Walt Disney and Eisner, who was brought in like in the second hour to talk about like Disney Cruise Line specifically, if I remember correctly.
That is the best thing Disney's ever created. So
it's true. It is true. But like it's just one of those things I always find funny because Bob Iger came to Disney through ABC, which Michael Eisner purchased. So
and Bob Iger also was, I mean, Michael Eisner essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, Benji, if you're out there, but pretty much was the successor that Michael Eisner chose. And he did a great job on the succession plan, which is
not easy to do, I hear.
I'm not going to finish that sentence. All right. Well, if you go ahead.
JPEG to possibly pop up, like to have a talking head interview with him. Would have been cool.
What I would give. If you missed the special last night on 2020, it's on Hulu now. Go check it out. And if you only have Disney Plus, it will be there on December 29th. So I'm very happy they did the same thing for the Disney World 50th special that they did. Is on Disney Plus. Disney Plus is the home for this stuff. Very happy they're using it for that. And finally, Alex, I just wanted to ask you. Go ahead, please.
One more point. The rejiggering of like the significance of the meaning of Disney Plus. Was that surprising to you? They had this moment. They pulled a Walt quote about plussing things, and then tried to pretend like Disney Plus was named after that.
You're not
It's
serious.
like
I'm sorry, I
that.
haven't seen it yet. Did they really?
Oh, you haven't seen it? Yes. Sorry, I thought you had seen it. Yes, they did, and I thought that was really funny because I'm like, that's not why it was named Disney Plus.
Okay, that's an article. Someone, I'll write myself a note. I'm serious. We need to find that, pull that, and that's an article.
It's towards the
Real
very
meaning of
end
Disney Plus.
because obviously Disney
That's-
Plus came towards the end of the Disney 100 years.
How
of
nice of Paramount and everyone, and Apple to also get inspired by Walt to use that plus at the end. Yes.
Yeah, and and Disney was definitely the first to name a streaming service with a plus at the
I
end.
can't believe they did that.
I thought that was interesting.
Believe they did that.
Yeah, they were like, they used a Walt term of like, we got to plus it, as from an old Disneyland quote, and then they were like, and that's why it's Disney Plus.
Have you ever heard that before?
No, that was brand new. Because that's not true. Like,
I'm so blown away by that. I'm speechless. All right, I'm going to try to move on, but that is
right.
That is the weirdest thing I've heard all week. In a week where Jay Rizzullo was trying to get on the Disney board, that is the weirdest thing I heard all week.
That's a Rasulo thing to do.
All right, Alex, thank you very much for joining us. I know you're such a busy guy. Really appreciate it. Get back to work.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.
That was Alex Rive. Thanks a lot for joining us. Oh, man, what the heck is that? There we go. All right, Kyle. In the midst of all that, we actually had some breaking news, didn't we?
Sure. Well, sure.
This is kind of a poster, so I feel like, that's not it. That's not it. That's it. What is this?
These are the titles for the 9 episodes of What If Season 2 that will start airing. The first episode will drop on the 22nd, and then there'll be one each day for 9 days. So we've known some of these, but not the full list. So we have What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps? What If Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? What If Happy Hogan saved Christmas, which I believe is the Die Hard parody or has references to Die Hard? What If Iron Man crashed into the Grand Master? You might have. We'll have to compare. Matt did do an article about this. What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? What if Kahori reshaped the world? What if Hela found the 10 rings? And what if there's 2 more? What if the Avengers assembled in 1602? And what if Strange Supreme intervened?
Are these? I've never watched one of these. Are they as funny as these titles make it sound?
Some of them are. They have very different tones. So we had last season, there was some very funny episodes, some like very lighthearted ones, like Thor coming down and just having like the world's biggest party around the entire world. But then there was also one with Doctor Strange kind of trying to change a moment in history that he couldn't change, and that leads down a dark path. There was a zombies episode, which was not really scary, but it was fun and definitely another tone. So yeah, these kind of run the gamut.
Mike Mack. Michael Mack is the centerfold for the Minute LP calendar and also our vice president of Marvel content. Said zombies had some funny moments, and then the Doctor Strange episode was heartbreaking. It's like one long snap. All right. Well, since Mac, before I move on, I should mention this. I wanted to mention this earlier, but I wanted to get Alex on here. Michael Mack, our vice president of Marvel, has put together a pretty cool guide outlining a chronological list of everything coming in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether it's movies or television. If you keep track of all the changes they're constantly making to the schedule, this is much easier said than done. So he's created this URL here, which he will continue to keep updated, showing so you can keep track of what's coming in the world of Marvel in nice chronological order, so you always know what's coming up next. For example, I'm looking right now, and I see on December 22nd is Marvel What If Season 2. Shocking.
Imagine that.
We now have titles, and then January 10th, 2024, we've got Echo coming. So there you go. Keep that bookmarked if not even a term anymore, and always know what's coming in the world of Marvel. And then we had other breaking news while Alex was on, Kyle.
I'm not going to hit the breaking news because it came out yesterday. I don't know how I missed it yesterday because I keep this tab refreshed, but they have a new breakfast item at Royal Street Veranda. This is called the Waffle Cristo. So it's like a Monte Cristo, but with powdered sugar waffles. You can get a full order or a half order. And yes, as you see here, it's got a Belgian waffle sandwich. It's got Swiss cheese, turkey, and rosemary ham. Do not see a cheese version for Doobie. I'm sure maybe they can make you just a cheese version.
It took me a while to see it. This is actually like this is it here, and you can see the thin layer of all the stuff inside the waffle. You can't see my arrow, but I'm looking at an arrow pointing at it right here. So yeah, this is actually two halves, and then that one waffle has a thin layer in between. So hopefully that comes through. Can't really. Oh, I can't make it bigger. There. Now it's much easier to see. There you go. That sounds yummy. I hope they have a cheese version. I would be all over that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you could get them to hold the meat, but you're probably not going to pay. Well, I think so. What at I haven't been there in a while, but I know that they used to at least at Cafe Orleans, they had the regular version and then a 3 cheese version, but they were around the same price. But here, having them just hold the meat and put on one type of cheese does sound like that'd be a ripoff, even if it would still be undeniably delicious.
Probably, but you know, that's just the life of a vegetarian. We're destined to be victims. I used to go to Burger King. So Burger King had a veggie burger, but they also just had get a Whopper with no meat, which I much preferred. It tasted much better, just no protein in there. But you had to pay full price. In fact, I wanted it with cheese. So I would say, can I get a Whopper with cheese, no meat? And I had to pay extra for the cheese, even though there was actually no meat in there, which is just comical. And I did it all the time. I'm looking at their menu here. They do not have it, at least as a menu item. But as you said, you probably can just ask for without. It is $6.99 for a half order and $10.99 for a full order. The Waffle Cristo. All right. Oh, wait, that was the other breaking news. Okay, let's get to this. Shortcuts, please, StreamYard. Please. All right, we're going to save one for last. You probably can guess what that is. But on this day in 1973, an attraction opened at Walt Disney World.
It's Pirates of the Caribbean.
It is, because you keep refreshing that Instagram.
Not because I keep refreshing it. It's been several places this morning. I might have eventually been able to figure that out. It's notably not Western River Expedition.
Disney put this on there. Disney Parks put this on their Instagram this morning. Mike Mack is on his way to get that Waffle Cristo now. He's also our vice president of food here at Laughing Place. So very cool construction pictures. I'm so happy they put these out. Love this.
I've confirmed that the Monte Cristo sandwich and then the 3 cheese version of the Monte Cristo sandwich at Cafe Orleans are the same price, $24. The regular one has the turkey, ham, and Swiss, and the cheese one has brie, Swiss, and mozzarella. I cannot.
It's almost hard to believe that Disney has normalized paying $24 for a sandwich at a average, casual sit-down restaurant.
Yeah, well, it comes with a side. You get some palm treats with that.
Kyle points out it comes with a side. A mint julep at the Royal Street Veranda. Keep in mind, these are non-alcoholic. At Disneyland, costs $5.99. A beverage, just like a Coke, $5.29. All right, let's move on. On this day in 1989, an attraction opened at Disney MGM Studios.
I don't know.
The same attraction exists at Disneyland.
Okay, that should help me. At Disneyland proper?
Proper.
Okay. 1989. Exists at both studios and Disneyland.
It opened at Disneyland 2 years earlier.
Okay, so is it Star Tours?
It is Star Tours. Way to go.
I'm like, what overlap is there besides Star Wars? There's a whole lands now, but there were in 1989.
Mac says I just bought 3 cookies for $17. Is that at Summer House, Mac?
Summer
If
House
that's
on
at
Lake.
Summer House, if that's at Summer House and you're on duty, get in the stream. But otherwise, I don't need you today. I mean, I need you in general in my life. I like you. All right. On this day yes. All right. If you're on duty, Mac, I want you here. On this day in 2000, a movie opened. I will read you the synopsis for said movie. Blank thought he had it all. A devoted populace to rule over, a wardrobe of glamorous garb, and his unwavering blank. But when a devious mix-up turns him into a blank, the once mighty ruler must form an unlikely alliance with a peasant when a peasant offers to help blank regain his throne from the power-hungry advisor who stole it from him.
That would be Kingdom of the Sun. Emperor's
That would
New
be
Groove.
Kingdom of the Sun. You are correct. And that came out on this day in 2000. Tony Betty has an incredible article on this, which now that I realize that this is its anniversary, I would like to Facebook that article and try to make sure people know about it.
Well, I'll make sure that the social media manager this morning knows that. Hey, Doobie, can you make sure that you post?
Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to say that. Well, I was going to do it anyway, so now I've done my job for the day.
You can also, if you search on the interwebs, you might be able to find the documentary, The Sweatbox. I cannot advise you where else to find it. Maybe if you look.
Back about €1 on a side locally for $25. So I guess food's just expensive, and my Sam's Club self just.
Well, no, you live in the Bay, in different places. I could find places I could go. You could still get, although I've seen inflation hit the Little Caesars, like a regular pizza that used to be $5 is like $8 now.
That's more than inflation. That's like inflation.
I mean, it's been years, but it's just worked its way up.
On this day in 2017, a movie opened.
Rogue One.
So you're in the right universe. It is the second best movie released in the Star Wars whatever.
Oh, 2017. So was that one would be The Last Jedi?
It is The Last Jedi. Very good. You agree? Second best movie Disney's released? Star Wars?
I like it.
I love it.
I just wish that those 3 movies were at all connected besides having similar characters.
Yeah, this is what happened when you don't have Kevin Feige show running the whole thing. You get Rogue One, or you get the Star Wars saga. All right. I'm going to save one more This Day in Disney History until after we bring on a man who needs no introduction, but does need to introduce his shirt.
Yeah, this is Roosevelt's performance hoodie.
Nice. I want to get a closer look at it. I'm liking.
As people heard, it is chilly in Florida today. So
I don't know who our Roosevelt connections are, but if they're looking to give away any 2X or 3X hoodies to anyone, I'm just saying. All right, Mac, you went to Summer House.
I did. I didn't get to actually eat there, which I'm planning to do in the near future for sure because it looks awesome. But I did get some cookies.
Now I'm a TikTok guy, and these Summer House just opened a couple of days ago. Mm-hmm. Gideon Bakehouse obviously is the cookie capital of Disney Springs, and then I feel like Summer House is coming in and saying, "You've got competition now." It is getting a lot of play on the social media. Do you agree the Summer House cookie bar is something to behold?
Yeah, it's so I've eaten half a chocolate chip cookie so far. I'm trying my hardest to save the other half for my wife, but I don't think it's going to last.
Wait, yeah, so do you still have it?
I do actually. Well, listen, I came prepared here. I have another cookie right here.
What is this one?
This is what they call a fudge bomb cookie. No idea. I don't know what to expect out of this thing. It's huge. Like this thing, I feel like it weighs at least half a pound.
So wait, are we going to do it live? Mac tries the thing. We'll be quiet and we'll get the clip and then we can upload it.
Well, if you want to do it live, I mean, it's you who does the intro for Mac Tries a Thing. I feel like you can.
Yeah, we can do that. We just got to set it up. So you ready, Doobie? Let's do the whole thing. All right. How do I say welcome? Right. Okay. Welcome to Mac Tries a Thing. This has been Mac Tries a Thing.
That's how the magic happens. All right, but this is not actually Mac tried the thing. So once you're done chewing, how was it?
It's good. It's very chocolatey, which I love. I feel like people might be divided on that, but that's perfect for me. Yeah, this is really good. I'm definitely about to eat this entire cookie. So
This is from All Ears. A quick look at some of the cookies they have available there at the Summer House. And the Summer House is an entire restaurant that just looks beautiful, and I can't wait to visit. But as a part of it, they have a cookie section, which is just getting raves, and Mac is saying they are good. How does it compare to
the chunks? Is that like a cheesecake or?
Oh, it's like crisp. It's like Rice Krispie treats.
Okay, I was torn on which it was. It kind of looks like Rice Krispies, like close up, but it also that doesn't make a ton of sense. So hopefully it's good, but.
No, we will have pictures up on laughingplace.com in a little bit as soon as I am caught up on everything I got going on today.
Oh, awesome. And as Rebecca said, we are witnesses. There better be half a cookie left for Jess before when she gets home. There will be trouble.
Texting her
right now. Got her back. Cool. Well, I appreciate you joining us. And also, I'm glad you're here. We did mention your MCU guide that you have created. And hopefully we can help people make sure they see that, because it's a complicated world in the MCU. And
it is. Yeah, this was honestly a tool that I wanted to create for other people, but also for myself, because I was to look for what was coming out on what day. I had to make sure I was getting the most up-to-date information. And so that page is going to be up to date.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. Get that Summer House article done. I can't wait to see these pictures.
Sounds good.
All right. That was Mike Mack himself, Vice President of all things Marvel and food here at Laughing Place. So just one more thing before we go. One more this day in history. We will end this Friday on a sad but happy note, because without him, there would be no us. And we mean that. So on this day in 1966, Walt Disney died and the world mourned. I'm not sure. I wasn't there, obviously, but when you look back at how the world mourned the passing of Walt Disney, it's have they mourned anyone else in the same way since? It's hard to imagine they have. It was a huge deal. And when I think of Walt Disney's death, this is always the image that I think of. So just going to leave that here. It's our final shot of the show. We'll be back on Friday. We'll be back on Monday to do this again. Tomorrow we'll have Disney Trivia Live. Thank you for joining us for this week, and we will see you later.